Hello to everyone who is joining this workshop. And, thanks a lot, Anastasis. I'm a senior researcher at the Institute of Communication and Computer Systems of the National and Technical University of Athens. And I will be your host today, together with Vdom van Stalviden. Sorry, Vdom, I hope I'm pronouncing your name well, from Vdom. And Vdom has been the person mainly involved with the organization of this workshop, and we are really grateful for this. So ICCS and Vdom are consortium partners in the PlatformUptake.eu project. So on behalf of the whole project consortium, I would like to welcome everyone in this workshop on open service platforms in the field of active and healthy aging. I would like to particularly thank the platform providers for preparing their presentations, and also all participants for being here today. I would just like to mention that today's presentations will be sent to the participants after the end of the meeting, and also made available through the PlatformUptake.eu Open Information Hub afterwards. And the meeting is also being recorded and will be published in the same location. Brief overview of the PlatformUptake.eu project. So the full name, the title of the project is Assessing the State of the Art and Supporting an Evidence-Based Uptake and Evolution of Open Service Platforms in the Active and Healthy Aging domain. Right. It's a coordination and support action being funded through the Horizon 2020 program. Its duration is 26 months. And there are 12 partners participating from 10 different European countries. This is an overview of the consortium partners and the consortium map. The main objectives of the project are first to identify the critical success factors for the development, deployment, and the spread of open platforms in the domain of active and healthy aging. For this, we intend, and we have already created a sophisticated monitoring methodology, which is going to be presented in this workshop. We also aim to develop some tools for the monitoring and self-evaluation of various aspects to support platform providers and users to self-assess their success, their uptake, and maybe any capability gaps and that there might be, and the evolution potential through smart assessment and some visualization. We also aim to analyze the existing platforms based on the created methodology by assessing the projects, the initiatives hosted by them, their further evolution, their uptake, their sustainability, and the socioeconomic benefits that there might be. Another aim of the project is to involve as much as possible end user communities and all related stakeholders to initiate the exchange of knowledge for collecting insights and best practices, and seeing if there are any challenges regarding the uptake of the platforms, their evolutions, the costs involved with this, and so on. The platform uptake by the user communities, as well as their continuous improvement and action, by elaborating and showcasing the best practice models and the evaluation guidelines that we have created. Finally, of course, we wish to disseminate all of the acquired knowledge to the end user for increasing the uptake of the platforms and based on the identified benefits in order to foster any future developments. Sorry for this delay. I'm trying to change the slide. Right. Okay. After this short introduction, I would like to directly give the floor to Institute of Science and Information Technologies, which is part of CNR. So he can give us more information regarding the work conducted in the PlatformUptake.eu project on the identification of success factors and the definition of the monitoring methodology. Andrea, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Statis. Thank you all for being here. So in this presentation, we will see the initial phase that we did during platform uptake. So what we wanted to do in work package 2 was to identify success factors and monitoring and create a monitoring methodology for mostly EU-funded open service platforms in the AHA domain. During this presentation, some poll will appear on your screen, and you'll be asked to answer some simple questions that we will discuss just after the end of this presentation. So, work package 2. Work package 2 was composed of 5 tasks that don't appear on the screen. Wait. Okay, it works. Okay, sorry for the problem. So, as I was saying, we have five tasks. The first one was to create an ecosystem map considering a set of open source European funded platforms in the active and healthy aging domain. And in this analysis, we considered mostly the end users and related stakeholders. Then we introduced the concept of dimension. We started to do a more refined analysis considering 3 different dimensions: a business, a contextual, and the technical dimension. So we could compare the different platforms we chose in a better way. Then in task 2.3, the third task, we wanted to know things that we couldn't get from official documentation or from our personal experience. So we wanted to know things that we could know only asking professionals. So we made up a set of surveys, and we asked directly the professional who worked on the platform we chose. After this collection and analysis of surveys, we built a KPI methodology for the successful uptake, interoperability synergies, and cost-benefit analysis of open service platforms. And at the end, building everything together, we show a methodology for monitoring and evaluating the uptake and other success indicators of existing platforms. So the first thing we did was to create a glossary, because we think that it was really important to have a common terminology. So we started creating this glossary. We focused in particular on stakeholders, on technical aspects, on business and contextual aspects. And after having built this glossary, we started analyzing a big set of platforms. The initial set of platforms we chose was a group of 48 platforms. And from this group, we choose 18 platforms, and the criteria were that mostly we discarded the platforms that were too old, they were not focused on AHA, AAL domains, or platforms that really created specific products that, or platforms that didn't thought about interoperability and these kind of things. So at the end, we ended up with these 18 platforms to be part of the ecosystem map. I want to note that we are not reviewing this platform. I mean, we are not, our intent is not to review the platform. Our intent is to understand success and hindrance factor during the lifespan of these platforms in order to create this methodology that can be helpful for active and future platforms. So this is the first record that we did, and with which in the first task we compared the platform. So we choose the an high-level set of fields to compare these platforms. So here we have the first question. And so we ask you, how much importance do you give to the correct identification and definition of stakeholders here, but in general of the definition of all things that are involved and will be involved in the future of your platform?
So all call participants are kindly requested to provide their feedback by clicking on the answer which is most appropriate for them on the screen.
Okay. Okay, so our I still have some little issue controlling the screen because I'm clicking the arrows and nothing happens.
Yeah, it's a bit laggy
yeah. Sorry again.
Is this the right slide, or do you have to go back?
I think it's the right slide, but I can go forth.
Yeah, this is the right slide.
Yeah. Okay. So
just a question: are we going to present the results of the polls
at the end
of the session?
Yeah, we will have a brief discussion at the end of.
Great, thank you.
Okay, I don't know why this happens. Okay, so as we said in the first task, we wanted to build an ecosystem map, and we thought about 4 different aspects to be compared. So we had the first geographic mapping, then we had the relational mapping in which we examined which platform were standalone platforms, which platform were not, and which maybe platforms allows interoperability or is derived from another platforms. Then we checked their application domain, and at the end we had a time analysis. And from all these different maps, we understood that going on with time, the key is to enable interoperability, and so to what more recent platforms want to achieve is some kind of standard, and really interoperability is the key. So now we have another question, and that's about interoperability and how you think how much is important in the design of a platform. Okay, then we proceeded with our analysis, and we start to go to do a deeper analysis. And so we started, we thought about different domains that are really tied together, and they are really important and cover different aspects in platform creation. And these domains are the technical domain, the contextual domain, and the business domain. For each of these domains, we build a record. So we had a record for the technical analysis, a record for the contextual analysis, and a record for the business analysis. I am trying to show you the records, but I still have some issue with my connection. Okay, this is the record for the technical analysis. I don't describe each record. Maybe you can check it from the presentation as soon as the workshop is finished. And so now what happens? It happens that we have the different dimensions, we have the stakeholder, we have the resources, but we need something to glue them together. So we started thinking about which are the critical success factors in platform uptake. And then we identified the 4 success criteria as efficiency, effectiveness, fulfillment of the functional requirement, and stakeholder satisfaction. And so we were able to map these CSF according to the stakeholder, the resources, and the different dimensions and their characteristics. So what we ended up thinking is that the success of a platform is really a delicate balance of these 3 different aspects and how they communicate each other and how they are developed. So now we have other 2 questions. Then, after having done this analysis, we wanted to have a deep knowledge of the platform we chose. So we start asking directly the professional who worked on these projects. So according to the 3 dimensions already defined, we built 2 questionnaires. 1 questionnaire for the technical dimension and 1 questionnaire for both contextual and business dimension. After the technical questionnaire analysis, we were able to create a more in-depth vision by collecting the answers received in 5 sections that were a platform introduction. Okay, I lost the slide again. Anyway, we had the platform introduction, the relationship with end users, technical content, and other questions that were related mostly to success stories. And for the contextual and business questionnaire, we had similar things, but all related to different aspects. We still have real case examples in user relationship with end users, privacy problems, cost, and deployment aspects. At the end of this part, we were able to find some, we can say, problem that happen, and it is not often reported in the official documentation, is that the communication between partners often require too much time is spent in trying to communicate each other, especially if people belong to different domains. Then from the end user point of view, often there is no need to specific skills, so often the user can't use the tools alone. And another thing that from both sides of end users and also from technical development is that often it's really difficult to find a correct documentation. Going on in the fourth task of our work package, we started to build the KPI methodology. So we wanted to use KPIs to measure things, and we understood that from the point of view of platforms uptake, success, and entrance factors, KPIs, that there is not much research on KPIs. Our methodology started looking at from which perspectives are we considering KPIs. So we considered the stakeholders. So we had 4 different clusters that were primary end user, technology providers, end user customers, and government. And so having in mind these different clusters, we started to build our list of KPIs. So we started from literature, personal experience, common methodologies, and so on. After having done this, we did a lot of steps in which we build a list of KPIs. Then we give prioritization to the KPIs. We revise again the KPIs. Then we started dividing the KPI according to the stakeholders. As soon as the surveys coming from the previous task arrived, we added more KPIs to the list, and in order to do a final revision. So at the end of this phase, we had 27 KPIs for primary end users, 24 KPIs for technology providers, 15 KPIs for end user customers, and 18 KPIs for government. We have to note that this was the first step that we did. Here we defined the methodology and we applied the first step for recognizing the KPIs. But this analysis is a work in progress in platform uptake. So the main things that we understood is that in general, there is an absence of KPIs that serve to measure the uptake and success of platforms. So we think that research in this field can be very useful for current and upcoming platforms. We are near the end. Collecting all the information we have had through the different tasks, we were able to create a methodology. Everything went mad. Sorry. Okay, and really sorry for this.
No problem.
Anyway, okay, we leave these slides. That's the methodology pathway. So our methodology takes input from the KPI analysis according to the different clusters of stakeholders, the primary end user, technology providers, end user customer, and government, and applying questionnaires, platform statistic, and other tools, we map the output of this continuous monitoring on the different dimensions, the technical, the business, and the contextual dimension, to obtain the platform monitoring and evaluation report. So here, like the findings we had for KPIs, there is not sufficient information or solid research in the area of open platforms, especially for platforms uptake. So we think that this methodology can be really useful in this field. We ask the feedback. And this one is the last slide we have in this presentation. Okay, that is a summary of the main thoughts we had. So that there is no standard in platforms creation still. A lot of platforms try to do that, but there is no real standard, and the interoperability is the key. The success of a platform in general is a balance of the three domains that we talked about before, the technical, contextual, and business domains. And from the problem side, we found that communication between project partner needs to be improved. The platform needs to be more user-friendly and more focused on the end user side, and that in general, platform uptake as a concept, success, hindrance factors, these concepts are often overlooked, and there is no sufficient information or solid research in this area. And this is clear also because usually there are no KPIs oriented to this kind of measure. Okay, so I am done. Sorry again for my technical issues, and I think that maybe we can take a look at the answers to the different questions you had during the presentation. Okay, so we had a very important identification definition of stakeholders. Interoperability is still very important, but maybe it is not really the most important things considering in the development of a platform. Okay, here we have half of the audience they said yes on the different dimensions, and the rest of the audience. This is a technical meeting, so it's clear that we have maybe this 35% of technical aspects. But it also shows from our point of view that technical, contextual, and business aspects are always, if present, are often thought really too much as separate entities. And the other question about critical success factor also are sometimes, as we have seen in our analysis, sometimes are not considered so much. Okay. Documentation is still very important. I see from my point of view that it's a technology point of view. It happens often in during projects that there is also in the building the documentation, especially the technical documentation. It happens often that there are no common standards, and then what happens is that if you have to work on something that has been made by someone else and someone else is missing, things become really critical. So this is from my side, from the technology point of view. Okay, is this the same one? Again?
Strange, because I have.
I think that the second question was about the KPIs.
Yes, yes, I know, but I click on the right buttons, but then it doesn't work. Okay, but then what I can tell, it's very important by 61%, and 35% is important of the KPIs, the creation of KPIs.
Okay. Yeah. And there is a last one, I think,
yes,
about the methodology.
Yeah.
Okay. And okay, this is fine also because we just showed this, but maybe the question was more that maybe there is the need for this methodology in the creation of a platform, and this is what we think is missing. And okay, I don't know if someone have questions. I don't know, Statis, also if this is the right moment to have this question, if we want to have a brief discussion on.
I think it would be better if we kept any questions for the discussion that will follow after all of the presentations. Thank you very much, Andrea. I think you did a great job of presenting this almost on time, despite of all the technical difficulties that you faced. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I think we should go straight to the next session, where 8 platforms in the area of active and healthy aging will be presented by the respective platform providers. Very quickly, these platforms are Fireware, Verkerk, Universal, Mextal, For Life Support, Oscar Senior, Open Remote, and finally IoTes. Okay, at this point, I would just like to mention that we have already provided to the presenters a list of topics that we would like them to kindly cover at the presentation, so that we can have a more, let's say, homogeneous information regarding all of the platforms, and be able to have a fruitful discussion after the end of the session. And I'm not going to go right now through the topics due to the limited time that's available. And I would just like to ask, since all of the presenters, since we have a great number of short presentations, to please respect as much as possible the given time frame, which is 5 minutes at the maximum. Thank you very much. So I give the floor to Ulrich Ahle, who is going to present the Fireware platform.
Yeah, thank you very much, and very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me present, as I was introduced, Fireware. And now also I'm facing just a challenge to switch to the next slide. But maybe Wilhelmina, you could help me to go to the next slide. Yeah, there it is. Thank you. Our new digital life will gravitate around data, around context information, describing what's happening around us, what's happening, as we can see it here, in a city, what's happening in an apartment, what's happening in a hospital, what's happening to people living in the cities and aging in the cities. And on the left side, you can see a simple structure of this data coming from the real world being captured in what we call a digital twin, so a digital representation of the real world. And then 5R technology provides a lot of artificial intelligence, big data analytics functionalities to process, analyze, and monitor this data. Give instructions back to the digital twin, and from the digital twin to provide information back to the real world, on the one hand, to allow decision makers to do fact-based decisions, and on the other hand, to automate processes sorry, in the real world. On the next page, and I will try to move to the next page, which is not possible for me. There it is. You get an overview of what 5R is. So 5R is fully open source. The 5R Foundation is providing open source software components which can be used to build platforms. We are providing standard APIs to exchange data. And out of this software building blocks, the 5R context broker is the center part of each 5R-based solution. You can see on the left side a very simplified architecture, context broker in the center, southbound, the standard interfaces to get access to data coming from sensors, coming from other IT systems, coming from social media, so from all different sources of data describing what's happening. And on top, the functionalities to process, analyze, and visualize the data. The context broker is a standard building block, which is in the meantime recommended by the European Commission to the member states to be used when creating digital solutions. And NGSI, that's the standard interface, which is in the meantime the global standard for context information management in smart cities and going also more and more into other domains. The next page, and Wilhelmina, I would, thank you for that, shows the 5R marketplace. 5R was developed over the last 10 years, and in the meantime, there is a vibrant ecosystem of 5R-based solutions, platforms, 5R-ready IoT devices, so hardware devices, and also a lot of training and system integration services. In the meantime, 5R technology is the globally leading open source technology in the area of smart cities, but also used in other domains like in active health and aging. And 5R-based solutions can be operated on their own, but it is also possible to combine 5R platforms with other platforms. And that approach is shown on the next page as an example where we have connected a 5R platform with SAP, with the IoT platform of SAP, which is called Leonardo. And using NGSI as a standard API, this connection has been implemented. And finally, on the last slide, there are several active health and aging solutions based on 5R available on the 5R marketplace. So you just have to look at the 5R marketplace. We put them together in a brochure called 5R for Health. And one of the prime applications here is a solution called Digital Enabler for BIOS. This is based on the 5R platform from Engineering Informatica in Italy. And it is used since, in the meantime, more than 1 year, for example, in Italy, in several regions in Italy, to manage all COVID-19 related information in real time. So there are thousands of hospitals, of doctors, of test centers connected to the platform, providing their information in real time to decision makers, to politicians, to allow them to take educated decisions to handle the COVID-19 pandemic we are living in today. But there are also other solutions in that area. Just have a look at the 5R marketplace. So it is a robust, stable ecosystem and a platform which was generated in a public-private partnership of the European Commission with several European companies. In total, 500 million euro were invested into the development. And to bring all of that into a sustainable future, the 5R Foundation has been created 4 years ago. And we are now managing this ecosystem. That's it from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We can go directly to the Sirk platform. Ashwin Gertz is the presenter. The floor is yours. We cannot hear you. Sorry.
And now?
Yes. Perfect.
Yes. Okay. Hello, my name is Ashwin Geerts. I'm working for the healthcare industry in Holland and Belgium since 2007. Verkerk has been working every day with a lot of passion and expertise on the best solution for healthcare organizations. We know the healthcare sector like no other and have been a reliable partner for 800 healthcare organizations in Holland, both intramural and extramural, for over now 35 years. I hope the next sheet, try again, next sheet. Yes, oh, one too quick. We are a developer, a manufacturer, an implementer of healthcare technology, and we enjoy working together with our customers and third parties, and all called as our partners. Care without concern, by the single point of contract, that is our motto. And in the next slide, we have our proposition. It's called Live Connection Platform, an open hybrid platform. The platform is the base of all healthcare technology solutions that Verkerk offers. It connects our products and services, but also products and services of third parties to provide the maximum support for the caregivers. A platform that can be used on-premise, but also in the cloud. It is an end-to-end solution. And it is an open hybrid platform. Verkerk is specialized in the field of nudging call systems, persons alarming, and care technology. The connectivity is not a limitation by Wi-Fi, 4G, 5G, RF, and also Bluetooth energies. I think nowadays connection can be the showstopper anymore. The digital workplace, in our perspective, it is one device to use anytime, any place, anywhere. And it must be friendly, user-friendly, and single sign-on to achieve freedom, more time, and flexibility to beneficial for the care. So, what also important is the collaboration, the working together. For example, that it is easy to take over shifts of your colleagues, and therefore we use one platform. Next sheet. But also related services are very important, and we provide in our platform fire alarm notifications, emergency power, lightning, emergency lightning, security, and also evacuation services. And now the big data. That's my point of view, the future. We transform data to useful information for the caregivers and provide all kinds of management reports. And also what's very important is the adoption. Please spend a lot of time and energy on adoption of technology in the care. Usability, user-friendly, and instructions are very important. We deliver also as a service, a technical care solution advisor by our implementations. You see now the next sheet, care and attention, I hope. Is that true? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I have a little description in my computer. Care needs attention, and you ask us to present our business case, average €1,000 per client room, and we offer all kinds of funding possibilities, for example, as a service. Partnerships, it is our DNA to work together with our customers and third parties to provide a total solution. We service the whole solution from one point of view, single point of contact. Care without concern, that is our belief, that is our proposition. So, I think my last slide. Other questions? There's no timer for it. Unfortunately, I have to go earlier. So when there are questions or there is more information request, please contact me by phone or email. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will certainly do so if needed. Thank you. Okay, so the next presentation is Universal Platform, and it will be given by Alejandro Medrano.
Yes. Well, hello, I'm Alejandro. This presentation is also prepared by Syed Tasari, who is the General Director of the Universal IoT Coalition. Oh, let's go back. Okay, so the Universal Platform, Universal IoT, the general idea, it provides a flexible system based on semantical interoperability to provide this framework for different vendors and especially for connecting things and offer applications on top of the different technologies, independent of the actual technology that they have. Universal IoT is a free and open source project which is especially targeted towards complex solutions, not just from the different domains, from different devices, technologies, connectors, vendors, brands, and so on. It's next. It is originally conceived as a platform to be deployed at home with certain connectivity to cloud computing and provided by service providers, but it can also be connected together into a multi-tenant approach. There's a third option, which is standalone cloud deployment, where you can have your cloud solutions deployed in the cloud and connected using this semantic interoperability. The promise of semantic interoperability is that you don't need APIs, you just interact with the system using the ontologies provided not only by Universal, but you can inject your own ontologies in order to enrich the operations of Universal itself. And because of this, your solutions and devices and so on are future-proof. It means that Universal is as it is, and in the future you can change it, and existing solutions can still interact with your future solutions and vice versa. The Universal has these two main projects, research projects. The first one is where it has been tested and where evidence is available, where we have 31 solutions across different subdomains of the AHA domain or the AAL domain, deployed in 13 pilot sites, tested over 5,000 users, and there's two of these solutions, two of these sites that are continuing to run today since since 2016. The second project is the ActiveEdge project. Later I will talk a bit about this project, but essentially Universal has been connected to the ActiveEdge project, and in there we also were able to provide a good demonstrator of Universal. Actually, Universal together with Fireware, which we've already seen, were the two most popular platforms in the AAL, in the AHA domain over IoT for this project. As I said, Universal is a fully open source project, and thanks to this last action, we can consider it already in Tier 9. This is a bit of history. Here is where you can see that Universal project is around the 2010 era. Then it took off with Real. Then there were several projects. So here's where the open source project was born. And 2016 to today, we have not only the Universal IoT Coalition, who is taking over the open source policies of Universal, but also there is the ActiveEdge project taking place in those timelines. Speaking of the Universal IoT Coalition, this is the how we manage the business with Universal. It is the coalition that is taking care of the maintenance of Universal, the open source technology, but it's also building the ecosystem of solutions that work on top of Universal IoT. Some facts about Universal is, as I said, we've tested with many users already, especially in the AAL domain. It is based on a known technology, based on Java mainly. It's lightweight, it runs on Raspberry Pi, it can run on cloud computing, so it has been proven to be running on different environments. It has a lot of, most of its core features have been thoroughly tested throughout all these years, and there are still unique features that are continuing despite not having intense actual development in the last few years, which are related to the market uptake of the platform and how semantic interoperability is a bit still not so uptaken in the industry yet. there are we have still open challenges. This is a highly competitive market, as we can see here today. We are trying to present platforms that connect to platforms and solve many issues from this explosion of platforms. So it is a contentious domain. There are still a lot of problems with how to deal with complexity, and is typically easiest when dealing with complexity to just deal with what you know and not start anything new. Universal has a bit the stigma of being a research project, and this is still what we are mostly dealing with. We don't have commercial solutions that or large-scale commercial solutions being displayed. And because of that, we definitely have financial issues maintaining this coalition and so on. And the final one is the concept of UICs. So we believe in the coalition, in this, we see in many of your platforms that there is this association, coalition, or whatever we call it, that is the legal entity behind the open source project. So it is, we think it is the correct way to go, but it is hard for us to uptake. And I think that is it. Yeah, I'm not going to go on.
Thank you very much.
Further. I think I answered all your questions there. If not, let me know.
Thank you. There might be some questions afterwards. Let's go to the next presentation, please. This would be Frans Stravers presenting next time.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, Frans Stravers. Let's see if I can operate it. I'm representing Vdom. Maxal is the producer of Vdom, which is an open care technology. Let's see if it will.
Okay.
If it will move. Yes. I think, yeah, okay. Sorry for that, going up and forth. We are developing this kind of care technology project since the 80s. And in 2016, we started building a new open care platform based on microservices and open connectors. It's hosted from our own data center, and we are RIPE members, so we can produce, as we say it, our own internet connections to all our customers. We have in Europe at the moment about 150,000 connected clients and 750 connected healthcare organizations, and over 200 different vendors have made a connection to the Vdom vPro platform. It's a standalone end-to-end platform, as you will see. Okay. Our key technical values, we have summed them up here. I've highlighted some of the things that I think is important in this discussion. We have all kinds of open API connectors, and not only API, but also proprietary connectors, protocol connectors, and hardware connectors built in the system to make sure that as many as vendors as possible can connect, not only as an input, but also we can connect as an output to all kinds of systems that are then needing the information we generate. We are fully GDPR, MDR, ISO 27001, and then 7510 compliant. This is takes a lot of effort because the rules are changing, and the local rules in different countries are different. And it's a client-based scenarios platform, so we build a unique case for every client. And also from the interface side, we have interface for different target groups. We make interfaces for clients, elderly or people with another disabled people, physical or mentally disabled people. And we make interfaces for nurses, for care managers, civil authorities, all kinds of different tools. Okay, yeah, the next one. This is a schedule, functional schedule of the system. On one hand, we have a event collector that collects events from all kind of system and devices. Can be information systems, can be social media, can be hardware, can be old analog phones, can be anything. We collect all the data, and then in the events analyzer, it's analyzed to produce data. And this in this events analyzer, there are scenarios which can be global or which can be just for one client. And this can then be analyzed by our AA tools, or can start a workflow to an end user interface. And as you can see, we have three groups of interfaces. We have interfaces, apps for families or nurses or anybody that wants to use an app and get information through the app. We have care center facility interfaces, which are used in big care centers. We have care centers where there are about 10,000 clients connected. We provide the interface software for that, and also overview software for people that want to overview and do more global functions. It's hardly to explain it all in 5 minutes. If we look at the technical side, this is a presentation of the total platform with all kinds of different connectors and interfaces. We are an end-to-end platform with service and functionality. Use all kinds of standard connectors. You see all the protocols here. Also proprietary connectors. We use different databases and database systems to be able to connect to other software and other applications. And we are based on different OSs depending on the type of device you're using or the type of system you want to connect. Here's some screens about how things work. Data are collected. Sorry, data are collected from predefined devices or other function systems and are collected and stored for later analysis. It's prepared for IoT, so we can also have smart devices connected. Already have some IoT devices in the system or connected to the system, and it's all web-based in a hosted environment where you can just from anywhere use the system. And the events are then analyzed, and we have all kinds of stuff in there to make action group schedules, scenarios. You can build all kinds of stuff to generate the right information. And if necessary, you can also connect workflows where scenarios can lead to actions, just giving people information, or even start actions like with a fire alarm, start evacuating a building, or when somebody is living at home and some things go wrong, or he just forgets to put on his heating, then you can operate the home from a distance by the system automatically. Results are stored also when there is no workflow started. So because we do also big data analysis to see if all our clients and organizations are doing all right. That's more on the data analysis side. We can, of course, recognize patterns in the data, and also, for example, do lifestyle monitoring, where we can see what the normal use of all kinds of stuff in the house is by a client, and if he deviates too much from his pattern, we can alarm or notify on that. And also, when he stays in his pattern, we can report on the data what the client is doing or what the organization as a whole is doing. And we also use this to generate aggregated data, which will then lead to schedules for employees. So we can predict the future care needs, and based on that, we plan how many care persons we need in a situation. And we're also developing something that's called planless care, where all the care planning is done based on the prediction of needed care in the future. And in this way, we can not only be a platform which acts on the actual data, but also acts on predicted future data, where we can see if how things develop, and also if interventions work. So this is in a few minutes a small view into Vdom as a open care technology platform. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's go directly to the next presentation of the platform called For Life Support by Arthur Schroeder. You can start. I think you are muted. And I think you might be, okay. Let me see.
Arthur, geluid staat niet aan.
Ja, nu heb ik geluid. Het kwam niet in mijn scherm. Sorry, my screen was...
No worries. Please, you can start.
Yeah, but I'm now not missing my slides. Sorry. I have no slides.
We can see the slides.
Yeah, I'm on the slides, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry for the misconnection. Yes, well, we are a young bioinformatics organization who specialize in bioflight science and health and cooperation in knowledge, medical knowledge. There's a specialty. And we are a young organization. We developed in the last 3 years a new environment, a complete new infrastructure, which is built on the information that is keep the data by the person by themselves, and that we build it up from the genes. That you collect your genes, and we do it on a hybrid way, and we build on to biomedical passport. And to organize that, we have also to make it possible to make the context, and that is why we are here on the content on this project. To make certain that the information is good and on a sustainable way, and to make it possible that it is an utility for every citizen, we make it in a cooperative form that everybody, our organization who will work with us, can make it also be owner of the infrastructure. To make it another way of thinking, to make it possible to make the transition, to do the new way of thinking about the data, and that is what we do by the validating digital infrastructure and an operating system who protects the personal data of the citizen, and we call it Health 4.0. We try to do it from an interoperability way, who everybody's now talking about and thinking about, and that. But we're going to change the way of thinking to an interdisciplinarity and a transdisciplinarity way, because the interaction of the data and the value of the data, who is helping the citizen more, is changing. That is why we built that infrastructure. And to make it on a secure and safe way, we built secure digital bridges for communities, but also to use blockchain technology to make it the exchange transparent, but also with smart contracts and that kind of things that we can do artificial intelligence on the right way, and also in a way of reciprocity. Dus that you can reuse the data, but also that the people, one that gives the data, also know what you do with the data and how you can bring it back to the data, but also keeping the value on the place. To make a use of this infrastructure, to make for the different kind of platforms of communities or NGOs, we set up an agreement system. We call it For We Cooperate. And where we make the contracts, there's not only APIs what we use, but also the agreements and the service files, how you interact with your data and all the combinations what you do. There's ownership and protection, and what's a specialty by artificial intelligence, and to making new thinking away how you interact with the data and to make it value. That's we do it in the digital contracts, what you can receive and bring it to the market. That's why we have a sustainable three-dimensional economic service and trading platform, who brings possible that is also the business model is used and can be reused to sustainable from the data. We call it, that's why we call it personalized Internet of Things. Everybody knows and on this way that we are now the first, like a pacemaker have some information to bring out of the patient. And that is the next thing. For example, how you more equipment is going in your body to help you get your lifestyle, but also in near your environment, who interacting more close to your health. And we call that bring everything in a format box. And the format box is always in a combination of communities. That can be big families, but can also in healthcare environment or in other place. We bring it on a way that we make the cooperation possible to make the data keeps by the person, by his personal locker, and we can interact on the consent management that you bring the data out of in. We do that all fully automated. But the person is keeping, the citizen keeps always the control of his management. And to make it possible, and to make it open, enriching the data, we are a member of CLARE IE organization, an European scientific organization who trying to bring science to society. And our part of the achievement what we're doing is bringing the knowledge, the data knowledge about genetics and the health 4.0, what we can bring in biolife science to make it possible in the next steps. We do that also in real researches. We do that in field tests on this moment, and that's what we next quarter we go to the first pilots with hospitals. And we do that with different kinds of hospitals to exchange research data by the person, but always goes data for the research first to the patient of person, and then it's going to the research and come back to the data. Just the data enrichment, and the citizen is the source of the data. It's very important. There's a big change. Not the institutions have to be all the data, the person is the data. Then you can use also your AIs and the knowledge what everybody have already designed or invented in a lot of institutes, bringing to the citizen. We do that also, and that's why the community care environment is also, because we go to decentral hospitals and in areas and that kind of things. And just the interaction is very important, and that's why I'm very pleased to see that there are a lot of open platforms that make it possible to do the exchange, and everybody keep his knowledge to each other, but had to work together. And the next steps what we are doing now is to make it for the general practitioners also usable, that we bring the science from the hospitals and universities by the first primary care environment. And all we can do that before we cooperate on special designers to make that kind of vessels to make the interactions to each other and all automated. That's, I think, the most things. Otherwise, yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Arthur, for your presentation. The next one is a platform called Oscar Senior. It's going to be presented by Thomas Fosker. I would kindly like to ask all presenters to please stick to the 5 minutes if possible, because we are already running out of time.
Yes, hello everybody. I would like, I'll try to be very brief. So I'd like to introduce you Oscar Senior. Our platform is more focusing on more the care side of the house. That means the key stakeholders of care providers, etc. We are device agnostic and fully customizable and remote managed platform for care providers. And actually, we are open to integrate any kind of IoT and smart sensors platform to help our care providers to care more and have a big picture about provided care. We focusing to help them to utilize the remote care, which means that we have two sides of the house, which means one of them is the web dashboard for care providers, and another one is a senior interface, which means that all the key users then can use it very easily and remotely, and can use our platform as a bridge between the data required by your care provider and, for example, the doctor, etc. We're integrating, let's say, tools and platforms from many aspects, including e-health or telemedicine. And we do offer also our customers to utilize our platform in terms of from the perspective of white labeling or customization. That means that every care provider has his unique environment and thus is able to operate based on his needs. Our platform is used worldwide. We technically run on AWS. We use a device agnostic solution. That means iOS, Android, browser-based systems, and we are always operating in terms of locations. We're always operating locally. That means we follow GDPR and HIPAA around the world. We're focusing on, let's say, three key stakeholders. I mentioned already the care providers, which are pushed to use some kind of those IoT sensors platforms. And then we are connecting them with, of course, their clients, meaning seniors, and also with the families and friends, which are somehow required to get the information automatically, and thus, based on that, provide a specific content of tasks towards their seniors. We're focusing in terms of the senior care. There are several, let's say, verticals we are working with from the government's perspective, also in home care or communities. But we are also are able to cover general care, people with other disabilities, or cooperating on many studies. As you can see, there are we have partners and customers all around the world. So we are not focusing only on EU, even of course we are European company. So that's our primary goal. And oh, sorry. Oops, I don't know how to get back. I got it. To give you some kind of overview, we started as a very simple solution for families, but we transferred from that part to a business enterprise platform to help really care providers. And we went over several studies run in the US, but finally also in Europe with Google, and nowadays we are continuing work with the British government. That's probably all. I don't want to spend most of the time. If you will have questions, of course, feel free to reach me out then. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. Okay, the next platform is Open Remote, and it will be presented by Pierre Kiel.
Yeah, thank you.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you. Pierre Kiel, Open Remote indeed. I have just a few slides to quickly share. There's more links within these slides if later distributed. Starting with the main platform characteristics, Open Remote is an open source IoT platform, a generic IoT platform, but we do have experience in the healthcare domain. And the picture here on the right is a picture you've probably seen more often, but relevant to say here are a couple of things: that we are a complete platform, so including the front-end tools and libraries up to a context broker, as well as protocol agents on the south side here. And the complete list is on the left. Pointing out a few things which are explicitly requested. So in terms of logic or intelligence, we have built in several tools which are baked or working on a rules engine. We have a flow editor. We have a when-then kind of user interface for creating simple rules. And we have a Groovy-based UI, so multiple tools for different kind of users. It's complete, so all components are included in the platform, and it would run on any hardware as long as it is able to run Docker. So from Raspberry Pi on local on-premise to any hosted service on your own server park, or with providers like Amazon or Azure, for example. That's a brief description of our platform. To give you a feel of where our software is being applied, for 4 kind of domains or applications, starting from number 1. This is with the city of Eindhoven, a citizen engagement tool where basically by integrating the city of Eindhoven is integrating our platform within their website and mobile application, Eindhoven application, and by doing so they're able to do a context-aware communication with the users of the mobile app. So, for example, based on their location or conditions like weather or traffic intensity, share information through push notifications with users, but also allow them to interact back. The second example is in a region called Stripe S, also still in Eindhoven, just one of the examples, where our platform is being used by Volker Wessels to connect different vertical solutions, which range from the lighting in the region to air quality measurements to all the parking systems on the site. And there are about 6 platforms being integrated here. And the primary purpose is here just for asset maintenance, but also for optimizing the investments in this area by being able to analyze the data of these different systems and combine them. The third example is crowd management. So this is where the military police in Eindhoven, not in Eindhoven, in Schiphol Airport, uses our software with a development team for building a border control application, which primary intention is to track but also predict the passenger flows on the airport. And the reason of doing so is primarily to estimate the potential queuing or potential traffic densities and the different checkpoints for planning purposes. So to be able to decide ahead of time to shift people, staff to different checkpoints and open extra lanes, for example. But it's also able to profile flights, so get extra triggers if certain flight with certain characteristics or certain times of passengers, which is obviously very privacy sensitive, would arrive on the airport. And the fourth example, this is Nottingham in the UK, where our platform is being used for energy management. And this is a broader application where it's being used for optimizing microgrids. So basically balancing the energy production by renewable, solar or wind with electricity consumption being building consumption or EV charging. And in the Nottingham case, it's actually V2G charging, so also being able to use batteries as temporary storage and uncharge these batteries partly. What brings us in the healthcare domain? We have a previous platform, so maybe some of you know Open Remote from those days. So we started a long time ago in home automation, and we had a first platform over there, which was quite successful, but never reached the level of purely open source. And a few years ago we started, and that's what we're talking here about, a new platform, and the references are all there. But also based on our past experience, we've seen a couple of projects in the active and healthy aging domain. And these range from wide different applications, from eye tracking for applications where people with ALS could still control their environment using their eye movements, to panic button, social alert kind of solutions with buttons. Again, the two examples are shown on the right. And the customers here were either specialized installers or startups, but also welfare organizations, so people with relatively little technical background, which build a different kind of applications in this domain. The approach here was purely open source with some professional support from our side, and our side meaning the company behind Open Remote, which offers additional professional services, but it was limited. And in our experience, the barriers in this domain are probably more, but the two main ones we saw is first of all, the end user averseness to becoming dependent. So many of these solutions, actually, whether we like it or not, are emphasizing the fact that people are vulnerable or become dependent, and people would naturally want to avoid that and ignore the need in this domain. So that doesn't make it easier to roll out applications here. And the second characteristic in terms of barriers, of course, that also has an advantage, but from a business perspective, that makes it a bit harder, is the community and voluntary characteristics of some of these channels. Now towards learnings and advice, or advice to ourselves. So with our new platform, we very much look forward to getting more into this domain as well, next to the domains we're already doing. And we believe that the flexibility in our platform and the purely open source side of it, so 100% open source, is quite a crucial element here. And then we would primarily target, again, still the specialized installers, but definitely also the open source community. So the low entry barrier for people to start using this software for free in their applications. And then we're talking B2B. One thing we would consider kind of advice to people stepping in this domain, or what we see is that we say, well, try building on happy consumer offerings. So happy flows for consumer products, which also this group of users would still use as much as any other age group, and in a smart way build on those kind of applications. So this is in short a quick overview from an Open Remote side. Obviously, we're open to any questions or feedback later on. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. And we have a final presentation, which is for the IoT platform. And if I'm not mistaken, Alejandro, you're going to present this one too?
Yes.
Please try to be as fast as possible.
Yes, there are only 4 slides, so it's really fast. Well, as I previously mentioned, the ActiveH project produced this platform that is the IoTs, the ActiveH IoT ecosystem suite. The idea of this is that it is it's not actually tackling the challenges of IoT. These challenges are tackled by IoT platforms. What IoTs is tackling is, once you've solved the IoT problem, if we can call it that, then you have to deal with managing the data, managing the privacy, GDPR compliance, access control, and all the cybersecurity issues of your data. You need to also ensure that the data that you are collecting complies with the FAIR principles so that they can be shared, reused, and accessed. For that, you need a proper data model, and this is also a huge effort that we did inside the Activate. We also offer a platform-independent data analysis, and there's one more thing down there that I cannot see. Maybe I have it here. One second, please. Which is again the usage of the data. Generally, well, we in Activate we have these main data types, whether it's user location, health monitoring, activity data, all related to the active and healthy domain. There are more areas of activity, but all of them, well, they were modeled in our ontology. The AHA solutions that are built on top of the IoT solution, there are 32 applications in over 11 reference use cases all around Europe. Within these 5 reference use cases, so these are more or less at high level the kind of use case that you'll find in the AHA domain, especially dealing or intervening with IoT. So what we are emphasizing with IoT is the evolution of the solutions, how these solutions are evolving according to the needs. You know, requirements are never written in stone. They always change. They change with time, with circumstances. Before the pandemic, our requirements were quite different. After the pandemic, the requirements will change from generation to generation, especially in the AAL domain. So we need to deal with changing and evolving needs. We need to combine the solutions and coordinate these solutions. It's good that we have a lot of solutions from different platforms, from different devices, but how can we ensure that a user is not buying two different and independent, for example, presence sensors in their home to monitor the same area just because the application that they need is incompatible with the sensor or incompatible with the platform underlying the sensor. And this also happens with software components. So it's again, how do we combine and reuse as much as possible those components? We believe this is the way to ensure not only the economic factor for end users, but also acceptance factors for end users. And finally, how we manage the solutions that we give, that generate value for the stakeholders. Again, the end users have certain values over the solutions, over the applications and the technologies. There are we have also talked about the identification of the stakeholders. Each stakeholder will provide different values to the solutions. So these are clearly issues that not only that are pervasive to the technology, that are pervasive to the platform that we're talking, that are pervasive throughout the domain. What IoT is a framework. It's not, we try to avoid using the word platform when referring to IoT, because it's not actually, it doesn't have actually the objectives of most of the platforms that we have heard today, it's not connecting devices, it's not dealing with interoperability, it's not interoperability with, so what it is glue for different platforms to be able to cooperate. The main idea is that independently of how you build your system, you can use your system, your application, your service, you can use whatever platform you need, or whatever combination of platform, whatever combination of sensors that you need, because there's this glue that allows developers as stakeholder, proper stakeholder of the domain, to combine these solutions as they need. For that, we have development support tools that enable connecting and viewing uniformly data coming from the different platforms. We have data analytics that perform analysis from the data that is being connected from the different platforms. I've talked about interoperability. Yes, there is this aspect of interoperability, again, focused on the IoT domain, but also extensive to certain software products. We provide also the security and privacy layer. It is really important, the GDPR compliance and DR compliance and all that. We are working on the concept of interoperability for cybersecurity and allowing different applications to reuse the security components of not only the platform but the framework to comply with the security requirements that each deployment site, meaning each a local ecosystem, imposes on regards with cybersecurity and privacy. We also provide monitoring aspects for ensuring, because one key aspect that we found, especially with IoT and AHA domain, is that we need to do this analysis of the usage of the solutions, of the devices, in order to finalize or to better define the business of the solutions, the business cases. So this is really important that we define the KPIs that are they're not technical KPIs, they're not just performance. You have so many connections, so many errors. This is fully fledged KPIs for usage, for engagement, for things that really matter to the business. And speaking of business, we also have this marketplace of solutions. Again, these solutions that can be independent of the platform, that are offered and then can be combined thanks to IoTs. So this brings me to something that is not in the slides. This is the ActiveAge.org Foundation association. Sorry, it's an association, which is the entity behind the ActiveAge project as a whole. Concretely, one of its functions is uptaking the IoTs. But I find it really interesting to present it here because what ActiveAge.org main mission is to accelerate and share those successful experience in the AHA domain, in the AAL domain, and be able to replicate these solutions in different scenarios, meaning different deployment sites, in different local ecosystems, and therefore start building this market of that we envision, the market of actual solutions in the AHA domain. probably not the best explanation of IoTes.org association. Unfortunately, Sergio Guillén is not here today. He's much better presenting that aspect of the association. So hopefully that is fast enough. If you have any questions, I can answer.
Thank you very much, Alejandro. Okay, so I guess that we could go straight to the discussion session. I would like to ask any of the participants who would like to ask a question to let me, I don't know if we have the raise hand functionality, so in order to be able to coordinate the questions, or we could also use the chat question, please virtually raise their hands. Okay, so as a first remark, I would say, sorry, first of all, can you hear me well?
Not so much.
Not really.
Yeah.
Oh.
You fell away.
I missed a whole minute of your discourse, but it might be my side on the connection.
Sorry, the application just restarted on its own. So can you hear me?
Yes, now very well.
Okay, great, great. Sorry about this. I don't know why it happened. So I was saying that as a first remark, so we can also start the discussion, we could maybe highlight that there are some differences among the IoTes platform just presented by Alejandro and the other platforms presented in this call. From the point of view that IoTes is basically not handling the IoT, let's say, side of things, the connection of the devices and so on, but its main focus is to integrate various other platforms and make it possible to have interoperable services and which stems from platforms and different services. Is this right? The way that I have.
I think we
Can
lost
you hear me?
Not so clearly. Not so clearly.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. There seems to be some problem with my my network connection, and this is why I also switched off the camera. Can you hear me now? Is it better?
Yes.
Okay. Really sorry about this. So I was just asking if this understanding of mine regarding IoTes is more or less correct.
Yes. So the main focus, exactly as you said, is not connecting devices, is connecting platforms. It's.
Are there any other questions by the participants in the workshop?
I have a question or two short questions, if I may. One would be for Pierre Kill from open remote. You mentioned to build on or to start from happy consumer offerings. Would you have a concrete example of what you mean by that, or maybe something you have done yourself in the past or even at this moment? That's one thing. And the second one is maybe to Ulrich Ahle from Fireware. We see a lot of platforms presented today that are very specifically focused on health and social care solutions, active aging solutions. So they're very uniquely focused on that. You are more of a general platform on which anything is possible, I would say, but you have a lot of background also in smart cities and so on. What can happen or what should happen for more active and healthy aging solutions to be built on or integrated through your platform? So two questions to two people.
Yeah, maybe I can start, Ulrich here. You're right, the history of Fireware is coming from the area of smart cities, and that's maybe also the reason why in smart cities Fireware is maybe in the meantime really globally adopted. As I mentioned in my presentation, it is the globally leading open source platform technology in smart cities. But it is also more and more used in other domains, and we are at the moment supporting 4 different domains. Smart cities is one, smart industry, smart energy, and the third one is smart agri-food, so digitization of farming and food production. But there are more and more initiatives now also going into the area what we call smart health. And Active Age, which we saw at the end, is one of the large-scale pilots who started to use Fireware technology in the area of active health and aging, and to bring more solutions onto these platforms. We simply need to, simply is easy. We need to enable more parties to get to know about this technology, because it is able and can be used more and more in the area of health and aging. Maybe also using the upcoming open calls of Digital Europe and Horizon Europe, where smart health will be a strong focus. And in the meantime, and you're right, we saw a lot of platforms. In the meantime, I'm a strong believer that it doesn't make sense in a new funded project to create a new platform. There are sufficient platforms on the market, open source ones, closed source ones, and to focus in such projects more on using the data which are collected on these platforms and using them to create smart solutions on top of the platforms. So that's a long answer. The short one is to attract more and more organizations, universities, but also companies to create solutions based on Fireware. And as I said, we haven't had that focus on smart health in the past, because we were in the beginning focusing on the 4 ones I mentioned, but definitely smart health has a future potential within the Fireware ecosystem.
Thank you. Ulrich?
Yeah, maybe to your first question, Frederik. So you were asking build on the happy flow, and the easy answer to explain it is there are a couple of applications which make people smile, and also the target group. And just you mentioned a few simple examples. A lot of people in the target group are also heat their home and have a thermostat. or they have some lights which you can control, or they have a mobile device. Many of the target group would be quite knowledgeable actually in using mobile devices. And maybe a fourth one could be, but it's a bit on the edge, things like Alexa or Google Home, just for the fun. There can be a fun part to it. And these are devices which you can introduce when in a happy moment, as because the majority of the functionality is for happy usage. And of course, people would want to embrace it. But as these devices are in, they're also sensors. So it's a small step then to say, hey, actually by using these devices and the patterns in they used could already be useful in terms of triggering abnormal, unusual behavior, for example. So that's the kind of thought which I meant earlier in the slides.
Thank you.
Are there other questions from the participants? If not, or until you can think of something else to ask, I would also like to ask another question. Basically, it is addressed to more or less all of the platforms, and it has to do with their business model and their openness in that direction. So I was wondering if the platform components are free for users by someone who would like to create a solution based on the platform, or if it's not the case, then do you have different SIMs, different business cases, on this aspect, in this regard? So I guess anyone who can answer.
Let me read.
Answer this question also, but I wanted also to make an own point first to your question, because I am also involved in the universal IoT community. I can answer yes, it is distributed under the Apache license 2.0. So it is totally free with a guarantee of having no hidden patents or something like that. My point was more related, because I like what Ulrich was saying about, it doesn't make sense to fund new projects for developing new platforms and so on. There are so many out there. I also think that in any case, at a global level, not for niche markets, but at a global level, I think in the end there will be only few dominating platforms. Like for one device, we have few dominating operating systems. For distributed systems, it will also be in the end only few that at a global level will be dominating. However, this will be decided naturally based on the user base and so on, how many developers will take up such a platform and develop solutions based on that. Something that is a little bit also unclear to me in the discussion here, where we are talking about a platform, where we are talking about a solution, and so on. However, what for me it is important is that actually the project platform uptake is supposed to really help in finding out the right criteria, the right KPIs and so on, so that it can provide help to the community, to those who are deciding in which technologies, platforms, enablers they should invest, so that they can make their decision easier. Because actually one of the things that is making a big problem in this domain is its complexity. due to this complexity, decision makers hesitate. They cannot really decide now, do we take money in the hand and invest in something and so on or not. And I think helping that this picture becomes more clear is one of the major challenges that I think that your project has. I'm a little bit disappointed about the presentation in the beginning, that we haven't seen much in this direction to see how the project is really finding the way to help uptake of open platforms, and also, yeah, helping them to stand out, because this is a problem. It is such a large market and so on, that it is a very high competition on it, and it is very difficult to stand out. So this project can really help us to find the KPIs, criteria, and so on, and this methodology it is talking about, to develop that, help actually that the good ones really are found out, so to say.
Hello, Syed. It's Andrea. Thank you for your comments. In a certain way, you answer what I wanted to ask. During this presentation, we talk about it was the starting point of our research that is still in progress. So what we wanted to show was really the pathway that led us to the first definition, and with this presentation we wanted to describe the direction in which we are going. So another question to which you already answered, maybe how useful can be considered evaluating uptake and other success indicators in the development of a platform, because as you just said, this is a big problem for a lot of people involved. So how end user satisfaction impact on the success of a platform? How successful interoperability implementation impact on the success of a platform? So this is a really hard task, but it's what we are doing in this moment. So what we would like to know, maybe also from the others, is a feedback on if this approach could really be helpful also in already existing platform or not.
In any case, I acknowledge that it is not an easy question, and this is why I don't know, 2 years or 3 years project, how long platform uptake has started and how long it still has, and so on. This is why there is need for such a project to work on it. However, I think that the project should keep focused on finding such answers. And bring these questions into discussion if it is not very clear, or be open with the community about the intermediate results and bring those intermediate results to open discussions, to try to collect all ideas how we can help, or such a CSA project can help to answer such questions. Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you for your answer, Andrea.
Oh, thank you too.
Thank you. Thanks, both of you. Do we have any other questions, particularly for the platform owners? It seems like a no, like a no to me. So I would like to give the floor to Alexander Nicolo, who is representing Sinio as the coordinator of the PlatformUptake.eu project, in order to conclude this meeting.
Thank you, Statis. Thank you, Veriki, for organizing this great event. It was really a pleasure for me to be part of this workshop and to listen to the discussion, and also to have the opportunity to get some in-depth insights into the lessons learned, the success factors, but also the challenges faced by the presenting platforms and their providers. It was also great to see, from my point of view, that there is so much done in terms of technology which is being developed to tackle real-life challenges of higher relevance for various stakeholders in the active and healthy aging domain, and especially its potential socio-economic impact for the European societies as a whole. The realization of the latter represents certainly one of the positive effects resulting from the achievement of our project goal, namely the large-scale uptake of open service platforms in the active and healthy aging domain. However, and based on our ongoing knowledge exchange, barriers such as, among others, the reluctance to change concerning the implementation of new technology, the rather restricted vision of public administration with regard to the benefits of new technology for active and healthy aging, and the lack of information on the benefits of the open source platforms for the actual primary end users and caregivers represent obstacles on the path towards the successful completion of an open market for digital solutions in the domain, and of course, for the benefits of all its stakeholders. So against this background, but also departing from the insight collecting through the series of workshops, PlatformUptake.eu project will seek as a next step to assess the collected best practices and stories for the successful uptake of the existing platforms and define guidelines to support their sustainable and effective future evolution. Within the next months, we will organize end-user events to promote best practices, but also reach stakeholders not involved within the services of the existing open platforms mentioned before. So therefore, we would like to kindly invite the representatives of the platforms which were demonstrated during this workshop to join us during these events and get in touch with potential collaboration partners and users. The events will also represent a great framework for knowledge exchange and possibility to check whether the current state of the art addresses properly the requirements of the market. More information on these events will be published on our project website, upcoming Open Information Hub, and social media channels. So on behalf of Sirk GmbH as a coordinator of the project and on behalf of the consortium, I would like to thank you for your participation and valuable contributions, and we hope to see you one more time. Thank you.
Thank you too. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.